welcome to my tent, a place to hear life experiences, different opinions, a range of journeys, and a viewpoint different than our own. A place to challenge our own thoughts, a space to learn a little bit, and I promise some fun along the way. I believe we're better when we let a range of people into our tents, so welcome to mine. And welcome to my 10. I am so excited to have you here. And this is season 1, episode 1 of the Welcome to My 10 podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Johnston, and I want to take some time today to talk about the why behind this podcast, the name and inspiration behind that, and what you're going to expect to hear in episodes to come, whether that is with a guest or some solo episodes. So a little bit about me. At my core, I'm pretty fascinated by people and I like talking. So podcasting feels very aligned to what I want to do. I've been really lucky over the past couple years to connect with some pretty awesome people through growing a presence on social and blogging and teaching things like fitness classes. And I've always really wanted a way to let people tell their stories and get their messages out, their experiences out, and selfishly just be able to pepper them with questions and pick their brains on certain things. So I figured a podcast would be a really good way to do that. I have been on my own sort of wellness journey for quite some time, and a lot of my life has been shaped by the experiences that I have had, the way that I view the world, the way that I view wellness and living authentically and showing up. I'm a new mom, so that's going to toss a wrench in the game of how I view life. And it's really interesting just to be able to hear how other people approach things or how their own experience has shaped something that I may have never even considered. The name of this podcast, the Big Tent Podcast, is adopted from a concept my dad, Pop, used his whole life. And you'll probably hear a lot more about Pop within this episode. He was one of the most incredible people I've ever gotten just the absolute honor of knowing. But his big tent mentality was something that yielded a lot of success within his life. And he always told me to keep your tent big and invite people into that have different skill sets and viewpoints and journeys and experiences, because they're going to bring something to the table that you don't have. We're only one person that can experience one set of things. And that can limit us in some ways, but when we're inviting other people into this space, we have a much more fruitful table to draw from. So we want to keep inviting people in. We want to say, I'd love to hear your POV or your experience. Maybe I can challenge my own opinion. Maybe I can think of it in a different way. And that's what I want to do here. I want to welcome everyone into this space, into my tent, and give either my guests the floor to tell their stories, or I can relay in some solo episodes my own experience on certain things. My worldview has definitely been shaped via my experiences. And I will say the past probably 4 years has thrown me some pretty wild curveballs. And it's been interesting because I've been able to find community around some of these things, but it's definitely not come without challenge. And it's helped me grow a lot. And I think I've grown exponentially more because I've invited other people into my tent to help me along the way. And maybe they've been there before and they can bring their expertise on something that I am still working through. So that's what we're going to be doing here. I already have some pretty awesome guests lined up, which I'm amped about, and then some solo stuff that I will be recording or have already recorded. So I don't want to get too deep necessarily on anything at this very moment. We'll save that for those episodes. But I did want to take a few minutes to thank a couple people because starting this was a little scary. And, you know, I kind of consider myself a bad bitch, but I get scared and I get imposter syndrome and I get worried that people were going to make fun of me or think that I was being silly, whatever the case may be. But there was a few pretty pivotal people that have encouraged me to actually hit go on this. And it is why you are, in fact, listening to this podcast right now. My husband, first and foremost, Duke, who we'll see if he agrees to come on. But not only does he entertain my crazier ideas in life, he actually encourages them. And he really lets me be me. We're very different people. And when I told him I wanted to do this, he said, that is just incredible. Do it. You'd be great at it. And he was a big support system there, not to mention just my life partner, the father of our beautiful son, and an all around great guy. So Duke, if you're listening to this, hi, I love you. Family and friends that gave me the little extra bit of confidence when I was talking about wanting to do this and telling me to go for it and telling me they would either be on the podcast, and a couple of them are getting set up with interviews shortly, or just telling me that I can do this, and just being there as a great, huge support system. And the community on the interwebs, as I call it, that have been around, some of you since the beginning and some of you are newer, but a lot of you take the time out of your day to send the nicest DMs and support. And I've gotten to meet a lot of you personally as well. And that's been just such a positive part of my life and something that I didn't even know would happen when I started an Instagram page a couple years ago. There are two people that I want to talk about specifically because they are 99% of the reason why this podcast is actually technical and looking professional. Sam and Rick, not only do they have their own podcast, the What the Fuck is Happening podcast, I'll tag it in the show notes, but they also have been instrumental in helping me get set up with tech and connecting the right parts to the computer. And Sam has been awesome with graphics, and Rick has been incredible with music. He actually custom created my music for this podcast, so you'll hear that. That's all Rick. And they've been extremely encouraging in getting me to actually do this. So I've gotten to work with them in a professional sense on this, and they've just been two of the people that I think have been the most helpful in actually getting this up and running. So Rick and Sam, you're the best. Also, Sam's going to be on this podcast, so get ready for her. Anyway, I want to keep this pretty short today. Episodes are going to be to follow. They're going to come out on Wednesdays, and it'll be that mix, guests and solo. We'll see where this kind of takes us. I appreciate everyone that is here and that is listening. It does not go unnoticed that this support is unparalleled. And I'm grateful for every single one of you that have chosen to take time out of your day to listen to this. If you want to follow along on Instagram, the WTMT.pod Instagram page, you can also follow me at Sarah D. Johnston. I talk a lot about life there, mothering, really anything that comes to my mind. It's a pretty unfiltered space. I talk about a lot of taboo shit on there too, which is great. And that's all for now. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'm excited for what's to follow. Welcome to my tent, y'all. Have a good day. Thank you for tuning in to the Welcome to My Tent podcast. I hope you had as much fun listening as I do recording. I am so happy to have you here, and see you next episode.